My son took my credit card and said you don't need money anymore. I canceled every card that night. The next morning his wife was crying on the phone with her mother. What I did next was silent and final. Family story. I was sitting in my kitchen that Tuesday afternoon when my son Derek walked in without knocking. He always did that now. The house still had my name on the deed, but somehow it had started feeling like his. He dropped his keys on the counter like he owned the place and looked at me the way he used to look at me when he was 17 and needed gas money. "Mom, I need your card for a minute." I handed it over without thinking. The blue one. The one I used for groceries and the occasional dinner out with my sister. Derek turned it over in his hand, then slipped it into his wallet. "You don't need money anymore," he said. Just like that. Flat. No smile. No joke. "We've got everything covered. You shouldn't be carrying plastic around at your age. It's not safe." I stared at him. He was 38 years old, standing in the kitchen I had painted myself after his father died, telling me I no longer needed money. My own money. The money from the pension and the little bit of savings I had kept separate for emergencies. I didn't argue. I just nodded. He left a few minutes later with the card still in his pocket. I sat there for a long time after the door closed, listening to the clock over the stove ticking the way it always had. That night I opened my laptop. I logged into every account I still controlled. The credit cards, the debit card tied to the checking account, the one store card I used for the pharmacy. I canceled them all. Every single one. The confirmations came through one after another while the house stayed quiet. Derek and his wife Lauren were upstairs. I could hear the television. I went to bed without saying a word. The next morning I was pouring coffee when I heard Lauren's voice from the living room. She was on the phone. Her voice was tight and high, the way it got when she was trying not to cry in front of people. "Mom, he said it was temporary. He said she wouldn't even notice. Now the cards are all shut off. The grocery money is gone. The car payment is due Friday. What am I supposed to do?" There was a long silence on her end. Then quieter crying. I stayed in the kitchen and drank my coffee. I didn't go in there. I didn't ask questions. I just listened long enough to understand that the money they had been using was mine, and that the lifestyle they had built in my house depended on it. I had known something was wrong for months. The way the grocery bill kept climbing while the pantry stayed half empty. The new phone Lauren carried. The weekend trips they took while I stayed home watching the same four walls. Derek had started handling the bills to make things easier. He said I shouldn't have to worry. I had believed him because he was my son. That morning I made a decision that felt heavier than any argument. I got dressed, took the bus downtown, and walked into the bank I had used for 41 years. The same branch where my husband and I had opened our first joint account. I sat down with a woman named Patricia who had known me since my hair was still dark. I moved every remaining dollar into a new account under my name only. I closed the old checking account. I updated the beneficiary forms on the small life insurance policy and on the retirement accounts that still carried my late husband's name. I removed Derek's name from everything that still listed him as secondary. It took most of the morning. Patricia never asked why. She just kept sliding papers across the desk for me to sign. When I got home, the house was quiet. Derek's car was gone. Lauren was in the kitchen staring at the refrigerator like it might offer answers. She looked up when I came in. "Mom, we need to talk about the cards," she said. Her eyes were red. I set my purse down on the counter. "There's nothing to talk about." She started to speak again, but I walked past her into the living room and sat in the chair by the window. The same chair my husband used to sit in every evening. I watched the street for a while. Kids rode past on bikes. A dog barked 2 houses down. Ordinary life kept moving while mine sat still. Derek came home around 6. He didn't shout. That surprised me. He stood in the doorway of the living room with his hands on his hips and asked, calm as anything, what I thought I was doing. I canceled the cards, I said. And I moved the money. He blinked. You can't just. I can. It's my name on the accounts. Lauren came in behind him. We had plans, Diane. We were going to remodel the kitchen. The contractor already started measuring. I looked at her. With whose money? Neither of them answered. Derek rubbed the back of his neck the way he always did when he was cornered. You're being dramatic. We were helping you. You don't understand how things work now. I stood up. My knees complained, but I stayed on my feet. I understand that my son took my credit card and told me I didn't need money anymore. I understand that his wife was crying to her mother this morning because the money stopped. That's all I need to understand. They argued after that. Quiet at first, then louder. Accusations about how I was selfish, how I was punishing them, how I didn't appreciate everything they did for me by living here and looking after me. I let the words wash over me. I had heard versions of them before, just never this openly. That night I slept in my own bed and woke up to the same quiet house. No one came downstairs for breakfast. I made toast and ate it alone. Over the next 3 days I did the rest of what needed doing. I called the utility companies and put every bill back in my name only. I changed the locks on the front and back doors. I found a small apartment on the other side of town, 1 bedroom, ground floor, with a little patio where I could sit in the sun. The rent was less than what I used to spend on the household groceries alone. I packed 1 suitcase and 2 boxes. The rest of the furniture stayed. It had never really been mine anymore anyway. The photographs of Derek as a boy, the ones of his father holding him at the lake, I left those on the mantel. He could decide what to do with them. On Friday morning I wrote a short note and left it on the kitchen table. I'm moving. The house is still in my name. You have 30 days to find somewhere else. The new locks take effect at noon. I didn't sign it with love. I didn't sign it with anger. I just signed my name. I took a taxi to the new place with my suitcase and the 2 boxes. The driver helped me carry them inside. The apartment smelled like fresh paint and possibility. I sat on the edge of the bed that came with the place and looked out the window at a street I didn't know yet. My phone buzzed later that afternoon. Derek. Then Lauren. Then Derek again. I turned it face down on the nightstand and left it there. The next morning the landlord of my old house called. Someone had tried the new keys and discovered they no longer worked. I told him the situation was handled. He didn't ask for details. I spent the weekend unpacking the few things I had brought. A coffee maker. 3 plates. The sweater my sister had given me last Christmas. I bought a small plant from the grocery store down the block and set it on the windowsill. On Monday I opened a new checking account at a different bank, one closer to the apartment. I set up automatic payments for the rent and the utilities. I bought a simple phone plan with a new number. The old number stayed active long enough for me to send one final text to Derek. The house is listed for sale next week. Anything you leave behind will be donated. I blocked both of their numbers after that. Some nights I still wake up and think I hear footsteps in the hallway. Old habits. Then I remember the hallway is only 12 feet long and no one else has a key. I get up, make tea, and sit by the window until the feeling passes. The house sold in under a month. The money went into the new account. I didn't tell anyone where it went. I didn't need to. Lauren's mother called once from a number I didn't recognize. She left a voicemail saying her daughter was under a lot of stress and that family should stick together. I deleted the message without listening to the end. Derek tried the old number again 2 weeks later. I never answered. The last message he left was short. He said I had ruined everything. He said I was spiteful. He said he hoped I was happy living alone. I was sitting on my little patio when I listened to it. The sun was warm on my face. A neighbor's cat walked along the fence. Somewhere down the block a child laughed. I deleted that message too. The days settled into a new rhythm. Grocery runs. Library books. Occasional calls from my sister who never once asked for details beyond, "Are you okay?" I told her I was. It was true enough. Sometimes I think about the blue credit card and the way Derek slipped it into his wallet like it already belonged to him. I think about Lauren crying on the phone the next morning. I think about the quiet way I closed every door behind me. I don't feel triumphant. I don't feel cruel. I just feel finished. The plant on the windowsill is still alive. I water it every other day. The apartment stays quiet except for the sound of my own footsteps and the occasional television in the evenings. I keep the volume low. No one has a key but me.